Good morning. Welcome back to the Dadnarok Aftershow. This is Shaun.
And this is Chris.
And we're here once again to discuss the latest and greatest in TV and streaming for the week. Big week. We added Andor to the list. We're just covering it all.
Just getting more and more.
Yeah. It's been a bit. Are you under the weather? Our whole house
I've had
under
this
the weather
cough
week.
that is really like bugging me. Like I can't get rid of it.
Yeah. So we're both somewhat ill, but we're here. We're here for you. Dang it.
Yeah.
We're gonna push through. And I don't know. Let's just we should maybe just jump right into Andor. Start talking about it.
Let's talk about Andor. Well, first of all, we're Dadnarok. We do all this good stuff. Talk about all these shows. If you'd like, hearing about what other people think, click that like button, hit that subscribe button. We have a ton of other content on the channel. We do this every morning on Sundays at 10 o'clock. And we're fully interactive. So if you're watching live, go ahead and drop a comment while we're going. We'll address it. If you're watching it recorded, we'll go ahead and address it afterwards. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into Andor here.
So when we were talking about doing clips, it's 3 episodes in a whole. It's probably about 90 to 100 minutes of content. It almost felt like a movie in itself, the 3 episodes together, it was a good thing they put those 3 episodes out first, because if it was just the one or even just the first 2, I don't know if it would have hooked people.
Oh no, dude. I'm not sure if I'm completely in on the show.
Yeah.
Episode 1 and 2, in my opinion, could have been 1 episode. There was no need for half the content there were in those 2 episodes.
Right.
And then the 3rd episode, I enjoyed much more, but I don't know. For the same reason, bugs me, because for the same reason people love this show,
yeah,
is the exact opposite reason on why they're tearing other shows. Like, oh, it's slow, it's building, and all this. I'm like, this barely had my actual attention.
Right.
And I love Rogue One. I want to like this show. It's a Star Wars show. I want to like the show. Yeah. I want to like Obi-Wan. I wanted to like Boba Fett. I want to like these shows. And I need more. I was like, I don't have really a strong opinion on it yet, because it's just 3 episodes long. They're 30 minutes long runtime. So what about 25 maybe at most?
Mm-hmm.
So it just there hasn't been much there for me.
It was a little tough. So Andor is so different from the other Star Wars content that we've gotten so far. All of the other ones have kind of been samey. They've kind of had the same tone, the same feel, almost running out of the same production house, almost like, Book of Boba, Mandalorian, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
All done kind of mostly in the volume. And all touching with stuff that's very like lore heavy around the Star Wars universe, a lot of cameos, that kind of thing. And that's what we've come to expect with Disney Plus Star Wars content so far. And this is so different, because this is like, there's no recognizable characters here yet besides Andor.
Yeah.
And we only got him from, 1 movie, Rogue One.
Well, we got Wally. Little droid.
Yeah.
All I seen was Wally. Wally.
B2 emo or whatever, yeah. Who actually talks, by the way. He's
yes.
He doesn't just beep and click. He actually talks. But yeah, I mean, it's so different. It is a slow burn, and honestly, these first 3 episodes, all they did was just get him off planet and get his story going. And it's like, this almost felt like a precursor or a prequel to the prequel here.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I'm in the minority here. I could care less about his childhood. I don't care about his childhood. I feel like these 3 episodes were a setup from, a flashback or a complete circle to when he was taken off that planet by I guess his adopted mother, to now how he's joining the rebellion at the end of the 3rd episode.
Right.
And it just, I didn't need all that. I don't need that much of a backstory of Andor himself. Show him going into it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think I do either because it's like we know where his story go and that's always the tricky thing when you do prequels in general, but especially prequels to, with characters where you know their ultimate fate. Like you got and we talked. This has been in the TV landscape for a while. Look, I was a big fan of Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul was the definition of a slow burn, but it was interesting. It was done well and every single episode was just firing off, it was intrigue. They introduce characters that you don't really know their fates and everything. And I don't know, this show has potential, but I don't know if they just tried to stray too far from the tone of what the other Star Wars shows were. This feels almost jarringly different. You know what I mean?
that's I don't mind that so much. I've seen someone compare this to a book, like a
Yeah.
Star Wars book, and I'm big into the books. So that doesn't bother me. The lack of knowing characters doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It was it just started too slow. It started way too and frankly, we're gonna go to I think we're going to Coruscant in the next episode, which I want to see Coruscant.
Yeah.
But we're also gonna see one of the most problematic in my opinion, problematic characters in Star Wars, and it's Mon Mothma. I think
Yeah.
she is the reason the rebellion falls. And not falls, but the New Republic falls.
Yeah.
I think she's the catalyst of the issues that really take place. And I don't care really to see her. I like seeing everything else. But yeah, I mean, I just want to see Coruscant. I mean, that's where
Well,
I'm at now.
we're in trouble then because I'm pretty sure Mon Mothma is going to be our introductory character to the larger world of Coruscant. So if you're not on board with seeing the story revolving around her and Andor, then we are in for it, my friend. We
Well,
got
Andor, I
9
don't
more
have an issue.
episodes of this season.
Andor, I don't
Uh,
have an issue with. I have never liked Mon Mothma, and Star Wars has an issue with that character being the similar character throughout history. It's the peace over war. I'm not going to put together a military. I want basically to do nothing and let everyone else take over. And it's kind of rinsed and repeat itself through Star Wars history if you go back over time and even forward. So I don't know. We'll
well, you got
see.
to keep in mind too. I mean, you're coming from a place where you are informed about this character from reading books. The general public doesn't know jack crap about this character. They don't.
That's
They
very
they
true.
probably don't even realize that she was in Return of the Jedi and the prequels. Like, oh, that's the same character. Like, that's we say Mon Mothma to they think like who, Mothman. Like, who you talking about? Like, they don't know who Mon Mothma is. So uh I'm looking forward for this show to be like an introduction to this character, like officially, because we don't know, or we're not really supposed. Most people don't really know much about her, so I'm like curious to see how they handle that character.
One thing I am curious though is we've already had a young Leia
Mhm.
in Boba Fett. Not Boba. No, I'm sorry. It was Obi Wan.
Obi Wan,
Obi
yeah,
Wan. Will we see her character again? And the reason I ask that is because she's almost attached to Mon Mothma in the Senate. She becomes almost, I mean, she's with Bail Organa and she's with Mothma. Mothma is basically a mentor to her when they're younger. So I'm
yeah.
curious if we're going to see her character in this show, which I would actually enjoy. I would enjoy that.
I think it would make sense. I think it would make even more sense to see Bail Organa because Bail and Mon Mothma were kind of like, almost two peas in a pod, seems like, especially around these days. Before Bail gets blown up on Alderaan, he was pretty.
What do we know? Was he technically on Alderaan? Was he there when Alderaan went boom?
Oh, I
Because
think
they
you're
never
meant.
technically said he was there.
No, that's true. Well, that's a good point. I don't know. I've always just assumed that he was, and Leia lost her pretty much not only her whole planet but all her family.
Because he
Um,
was off planet more than he was on planet.
that's true. Wow, that's interesting. I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
Exactly. That kind of crossed my mind when they were showing everything when we were watching Obi-Wan. I'm like, okay, I can buy her mom being there,
Yeah.
but was he there? And they left that just
Well,
ambiguous.
Tarkin did say in A New Hope that the Emperor had just recently dissolved the Senate. Like that was breaking news when Tarkin was walking around the Death Star, and that was before they blew up Alderaan. So, if he wasn't on Coruscant, maybe he was on his way home to Alderaan, or he was already on Alderaan. I just assumed that he was, but yeah, you raise an interesting point. I
Because
never
he
really thought
has a
about
lot
that.
of interaction actually with Ahsoka.
Yeah,
So he could have been off planet with her. there's a lot. I mean, if you
I would
don't see
say
the death, it's always open to are they alive?
that's true, but then it's like, he wasn't really a character in the original trilogy. So was he around? Was he not? I don't know. You can start like, but hey, if they find a way to fit Jimmy Smits into future things that are post A New Hope, I'm for it. That's fine. You can
Yeah.
make sense of it. Yeah,
Yeah, did he go into hiding like Obi-Wan and Yoda did because he knew
right.
the Emperor would come after him?
I
Some
don't
things like
know if
that.
we're getting any kind of cameos like that in this show, though. I mean, Jimmy Smits or some kind of de-aged or recast Carrie Fisher or whatever, because she wouldn't be Obi-Wan age because takes place after that. It would be a lot closer. Well, it would be 5 years prior to A New Hope, so she'd be like late teenager or something like that. So I don't. I the language that just this show is giving me, it's not going to be like cameo heavy. Honestly, it doesn't feel that way so far.
I think it'd be cool just to see her, like, not even her face, just maybe see her sitting in one of the pods,
Hmm.
and they just kinda go by. They kinda glance over, and if you had to be looking for her to see her.
Yeah.
I mean, that a little Easter egg would be nice, but I think it needs something like that. I mean, at this point right now, we need something to give us some familiarity or just give us some forward plot movement, because I don't feel like there's a whole lot of forward plot movement that took place in these first 3 episodes.
No, it took 3 episodes just to get him going and onto whatever story that we're moving on to. Like, yeah, that's what it felt like. It's just like, okay, now we're finally in the place where he's going somewhere and doing something.
That ship looks awesome, though.
Yeah.
If there's
Yeah.
2 beams coming out the side of that thing and it rips things, that is wow, that's cool.
Is it, what, Luthen's ship that he came in? Stellan
Yeah,
Skarsgård character, and
yeah.
then he
Well,
left
when he
in?
left it,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that one looks pretty bad.
Do you think we're gonna come back to this planet with Bix and his other friends? Like, it seems like we took a lot of time to introduce these characters just to leave them.
I think so. I don't think we're done with this. I don't think we're done with this planet because his droid's there,
Yeah,
Biggs is there. I mean, there's gonna be returning back to this planet in some manner. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I think they'll
right.
return back.
I will say this: if they don't have at least some kind of cameo or some kind of like, "Ooh, look at that," because I mean, look, this is Star Wars, so you can do stuff like that. It can just be throwaway. That's okay. You don't need to like
Yeah.
bring on a whole, few scenes where Leia's like an important character of the show or something. But we're gonna be on Coruscant with the Senate. Palpatine's there and in charge. Like if we don't get something where we see
All the big
something,
players will be there.
all the big players are there. So if we don't get a little bit of something, it'll feel actually really weird. Like why did we not at least hear Palpatine's voice or something? You know what I mean? Like we gotta give us a taste of that because we're gonna be in the big show. Coruscant's where everything's happening, baby.
Everything goes down, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna see what becomes of the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
That's what I wanna see.
Hmm.
Because I know the Jedi Temple, once again, this is me no more than general public, but the Jedi Temple was built on top of a Sith temple. So
Hmm.
they tore it down and they rebuilt. So I want to know what happened to the Jedi Temple going forward, which I don't know if they're going to dig too deeply into that
I'm,
though.
I'm I'm just afraid that we're not gonna get any kind of lore, any kind of force lore, anything like that. It's not even gonna touch on. They don't seem to be interested in that at all.
And that's kind of why I loved Rogue One.
Yeah.
And that really, honestly, that's kind of really why I loved Rogue One. That's why I'm hoping I really enjoy this one here. But what do you guys think? I mean, you can tell Sean and I are lukewarm on it at best right now. We have plenty more episodes to come. What are there, 12 episodes of the show?
Yeah, so there's 9 more to go, yep.
So yeah, we have plenty more to go. So drop a comment below. Let us know what you think. And if you drop a comment live. If we get to it, we'll go ahead and respond to it. But I think it is time to move on to I think what is one of our favorite shows that we've been covering here.
Mhm.
And let's just talk about it.
You want to start this off?
I'm not really like a vocal person. The manager, who I do like, it's not nothing against him.
No.
Beginning, he said, "Give us time to gel."
No, to gel, you gradually get better. They haven't. I'm still optimistic, and
I'm optimistic about Phil.
And you guys
Big
are
time.
not optimistic about Phil.
No. Listen, he's a big name manager for this league.
Yeah.
Is he doing everything right? I don't think he is. Like you said, we're 11 games in. He's got to have a chance.
Yeah.
So he's got to have a chance. This is the episode I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
I know everyone likes Ryan and Rob over there. Everyone loves what they're doing. They open them, accept them with open arms.
Yeah.
But what are the guys in the pubs talking about?
Right.
Are they liking the direction of the team?
Yeah.
I knew there had to be some discourse. You know what I mean? It's not always hunky dory. There's always people that are like, you know what? They're if they're not winning, people aren't truly happy.
Right.
And this, I was curious when I seen that guy Shaun when he was in the pub with him. I was like, is he going to give it to him straight? Because he kind of comes off as the guy that was going to give it to him straight in prior episodes.
Oh, he gave it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, yeah, no, we don't think the team's going in the right direction. We don't think they're winning. We don't think they're getting time to gel. I'm like, I'm loving this because everyone else was kind of, kissing Robin Ryan's ass, for a better way of saying it. And
Right.
and they even said that. Who's going to actually give it to us straight rather than blowing sunshine and rainbows up our butts?
Yeah, it was. I felt a bit of a kinship to Rob and Ryan. A lot Ryan, because I don't even know how much experience Ryan has with the game of soccer or football prior to buying the team. Like it seems like he's still kind of learning things as he goes. You and I were not live last week. We were on our way to see the Columbus Crew play up in Columbus, Ohio. It was my first game. What, your fourth game?
Yes, I'm like, yeah, fourth game,
Got
yeah,
the swag.
live.
We got the swag going today.
I was pumped, dude. When you came back with a hat, I was like, got him.
There we go. And that's us in there. You can see us. I'm wearing a Dadnarok shirt. Chris is in his gear. We were on ESPN. It was an awesome day.
We made it. We've made it. We were on ESPN. There we go. Dadnarok rocking ESPN. We were there.
Columbus ended up tying that game though.
And that was something I wanted to talk about as well, because in this episode of Wrexham, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
Essentially, the exact same thing happened. Columbus was winning the whole game, and in the last 30 seconds of extra time, they gave up a goal, and they tied. And essentially, the same thing happened here with Wrexham here in this game. They were winning essentially the whole game. They gave up a goal late. And in soccer, ties aren't bad, but ties have two different feelings to them. Columbus was playing Cincinnati, a rival, and they were getting beat the whole game. And they tied the game late. That tie feels like a win. Like they stole a point.
Right.
This game here with Columbus and the game with Wrexham, they gave up a goal late, which that tie feels like a loss.
Yeah.
It's still points, but it feels like a loss. So that heartbreak you've seen all those fans feel in the show, that was exactly how I felt when they gave up that goal with 30 seconds left. I mean, it was deflated the place. Like everyone usually sticks around. The team comes over, celebrates the supporters where we were sitting, and the place just cleared out. Like no one stuck around. Like everyone was just irritated.
Right. Rob and Ryan did stick around. They signed, autographs. It was funny. We got to check in with that little kid who was always refers to Ryan as Deadpool. He just calls him Deadpool.
Oh yeah, he has the picture with the heart. That Rex in the middle of it. I thought that was pretty cool.
I love this episode because it was a return to form, right? You and I love seeing the behind the scenes stuff with Rob and Ryan, but we also love seeing the patrons of the turf and the just the local community there and their story.
I love what they did to the turf with the bricks, and everyone kind of signed their own brick, kind of like the commemorate what they did actually in the stadium. Right. And then they had the two spots for Rob and Ryan to sign, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, so this was almost like a colliding of worlds. It's like you took those two different separate parts from earlier episodes, and now everything came together, and we got to see actual interaction with the people that we've learned to know over the course of the community there in Wrexham, and then Rob and Ryan too, and see like how they interact with each other. And like you already mentioned it, like getting truth bombs. It wasn't only Shaun at the turf, but it was I think maybe Annette Gardner. Who was, I think, one of the volunteers there for the club, and she was going on how she was a bit dissatisfied with how the management there has treated some of the staff. So, I mean, that's important for Rob and Ryan to hear. Like,
well, there was one point they were talking and say, "What would you do?" He said, "You know what? I would get rid of all of them." Yeah. I was like, "Whoa!" That's pretty straightforward and brutal right there.
Right.
Just kind of start fresh. I mean, I don't know if they even meant with a coach and get rid of him too, because I mean, like the one guy said, 11 games. I mean, that's brutal. You drop a guy after 11 games when the season's as long as they are.
Oh yeah,
you have to give him time. But you do expect to see some type of progress, and if you're not seeing any progress, and you're giving up goals late, and the red card thing, that whole thing was a debacle.
Yeah,
wrong guy, the red card. And they sent him off. Then they retroactively gave Mullins the red card, which for some reason is suspending him for 2 games. And I think it's because he wasn't kicked out of the current game he was in, so he had to make up that time.
Wow, yeah, it's like
My God, that's brutal. But let's talk about them walking through the city, walking through
Mhm.
Wrexham. I love that. Going in the bookstore, talking to that one lady. I personally like seeing, the lady, I can't remember her name, that actually runs the handicap accessibility for the team now.
I think it's Carrie Evans.
Okay, yeah. When they were talking to her, she shows them like how she was able to get them into like a handicap football league.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought
Yeah,
because I've never seen anything like that before. We've seen like hockey, we've seen basketball, we've seen all that here in the States, but we've never seen a soccer setup. And
right.
they actually pulled a soccer one about. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. I like seeing them interact with the folks that just like prior to this, I think, Carrie has like an official position with them now, but before that she was like dedicating all her time just as a volunteer, and for her to see that payoff where she's really doing something. And Ryan was even like, "Yeah, I'm going to have you start managing some of my companies cuz you're just killing it over here."
Yeah. So we got Christopher here. So I mean, he'll cut him after 5 games. That's brutal.
Oh, that's rough.
That is rough right there.
Well, I mean, I think that's what Ryan and Rob absorbed from this trip. I mean, they did hear a lot of the same stuff where it's like they appreciate all the changes that are being made, but without seeing some sort of at least minimal progress through each game to see something that they can hang on to. Without seeing that, there's frustration there because it's like everything should be clicking better with the amount of money and effort that's being put into it. To just the best you can do is just grab some ties. Like that's not good.
Yeah, you're not gonna get promoted on ties.
Yeah.
1 point's not gonna get you. You need to go ahead and get the 3 points when you should get them. If you're leading as late as they were leading, you should take those 3 points.
And just think
And
of all like when's the pressure going to be on is just like a home game, packed stadium. Rob and Ryan are finally there for the first time at a home game. Like that, if you're going to choose any amount to besides, like a playoff or like a championship game, like that's the moment where you come out of the day with a win. Like all that
yeah,
pressure and it not be able to do that, that's just I think it's saying a lot. That's where a lot of the frustration's coming from.
well, a lot of it's the defense. I
Yeah,
mean, there's like one guy they focus on the defense. I mean, he completely crapped the bed on the game that they went and seen away. He was the reason the goal was given up. He overran the ball, left the
yeah,
ball behind him. Just completely forgot I'm playing soccer. Ball's behind me, and they scored on it. And essentially, it was a blown. Put it in football coverage, American football. It was a blown coverage. He
right.
completely blew it in the back, and essentially the same thing happened again. So they got issues on the back line. I don't think they have any issues up front in midfield. It's more the back line, and if they don't shore that up, they're not gonna have a whole lot of success.
It's gonna be interesting seeing the progression because you and I already spoiled ourselves. We know where they stand currently, at least as of last week. I don't know if there's been any changes there.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
haven't checked yet, but I knew they were. I mean, spoiler alert, guys, they were second in the table, which doesn't
right,
get you promoted in this league. You need to
right.
actually win the league. And I actually reached what we were talking about last time on the show, like when their actual league runs, and their league is actually starting when the MLS stops. So
Mm.
MLS starts late November. No, I'm sorry, February, late February until about October. The Premier League and everything, they start up in August.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
they're running different times of the year than we are. So they're not. It makes me wonder when their specific league runs, because if it's not, they can't be that far into it if they just started.
Right.
And where did they end up then last season?
Yeah, that's true. It's gonna be interesting to follow through on that. So, as well, so did Wrexham just start up their new season then, like recently?
Uh if they're running on that schedule, I'm going to say yes, but I
Yeah.
haven't looked into. I don't know I didn't check the standings
Or how
from
many
last
games have
season.
been played? Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah,
check.
exactly. So I just
Um,
know they were second last time I checked.
There was one thing that I was a little worried or concerned me a little bit this episode is Wayne Jones, who's the owner of the Turf, the actual pub outside the stadium there. Who's you can't replace him. Like he's irreplaceable as far
Yeah.
as what he means to that community there, and they were talking about bringing in a pub inside the stadium just to
Yeah.
help out with like the numbers of people inside and outside, which I get. Once Sean, the guy that they're that's helping with that kind of explained the reasoning behind it, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. I just hope that doesn't hurt the turf at all. Like,
Well, what I liked as well though is the first thing it was either Rob or Ryan. I'm not sure which one it was, but they're like, "Did you discuss it with him?
right.
Did you talk to him about it?" Because it's going to take business away from the turf.
Yeah.
But is he like so packed out he can't serve everybody? And when people come in, it's like they want to make sure it's a balance. He doesn't want to put him out of business by any means because
Yeah.
the turf is as much as a part of the club as the club is.
Right.
So I mean, I appreciated that when he was like, "Have you discussed it with him first?"
Yeah, they seem to do pretty well, both of them. They were keeping everybody in mind. Like, sometimes you get visits from owners and stuff, and I've even just in my job, when the CEO shows up randomly and you have to like kiss their butts for, a couple days while they're in town. Like that always kind of stinks. And they come in, they glad hand you, they shake hands. Oh, you're doing a great job, even though they don't know anything about you. And then they kind of hightail it out of there to go have, a lunch and play golf or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's always just like this, whatever kind of thing. And it seems like Rob and Ryan like were they didn't come there for that. They came to actually talk to people, have conversations.
And that's what one of them said. One of the ladies he interviewed, what there's like, it seems like your heart is really in this.
Yeah,
And she's like, don't leave the fans behind. The fans are as important to this as the team is.
right.
So I mean,
Yeah,
I love that. I mean, that's been the like I said before, that's been the heart of the show. It's been the actual town more so than the team. The team is, I've always said, the B plot of what this actual show's about.
yeah, so return to form here with episode 10. I was surprised. I thought, we've gotten 2 episodes every week, and then they kind of did a double episode all in one for this week. So episode 10. And I don't know how the format. It's kind of weird to shake up your
To
format like
change your
that
format
midthrough.
halfway through the season, it was a little odd.
Yeah, but we'll see. I don't know, next week, episode 11 or episode 10 and 11. Like,
I
I don't
want
know.
Ryan to get a win. I want him to see a win so badly
Yeah,
because it's like he's feeling like the ties and the losses. Like you can see it weighs on him, not so much as an owner, but he's watching the games and he's so invested in the games.
right.
And when they give up a goal, even Rob's like, you can see Rob about ready to come out of him in a few
Yeah,
instances.
right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that too. It may not happen with them in person, but and it's just so it's crazy because the both of them are just so busy. Like Ryan especially. Like and now everywhere, I'm just seeing Mint Mobile like everywhere. Aviator Gin and Mint Mobile, just
Yeah.
like you can't get away
And
from
I'm
seeing
still
them
waiting on
everywhere.
my jersey. I'm still waiting on it.
Oh,
I got
jersey update.
confirmation that it was filled, and I'm assuming confirmation that it was filled means it'll ship as well. Because it said, it gave me the shipping, but it didn't give me a
Yeah,
tracking. So I don't know how long it's going to take to get from Wales to here.
right.
But funny side note, I'm going to have an issue come World
Wh-
Cup.
Why?
Do you know how the U.S. men's national team played on the Black Friday, the first game of the World Cup?
Okay.
They play Wales.
Oh, really?
Their first game, they play Wales. So I'm gonna have to rock my US stuff, but I would love to see Wales get out of the group, but it's
Yeah,
got to be my guys first.
that's hilarious. Oh yeah, you are gonna be a little bit torn. That
And
stinks.
we have one of their stars playing in the MLS right now over in LA, in Gareth Bale. He's prepping for the World Cup, playing in my league. Okay, guys. Well, what did you think? Did you like what you seen here? Do you like to return to form? Do you like the hour format in one episode rather than 2 half hours? What do you think of this city where Rob and Ryan are actually interacting? How's the club doing? If you have any update on the club, let us know. We love knowing that. It's a little spoilery, but if we really
Okay.
wonder, we can find out on our own. Yeah, we don't care. So drop that in the comments. If you're watching us live, we'll figure it out as well. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe. So I think we're going to move on to our next show here.
My kind must either abandon these shores by spring or perish.
Perish. Perish. How?
Our immortal souls will dwindle into nothing, slowly diminishing, until we are but shadows, swept away by the tides of time, forever.
Durin and Elrond continue to be kind of the strongest part of the show, I think.
Oh, by far
Yeah.
the strongest part of the show. I love their interactions, everything. From this interaction, I mean, there's more of this interaction that we just weren't able to grab. But when Elrond was like, he was explaining to him like, the weight could either be halved or doubled. He didn't want to give his friend that burden, and he was like, Durin was like, just wait a minute. I want to say Merlin's beard, but that's not what he says. But when he drops that actual information on him,
Yeah.
I love that.
I was so worried last week when Elrond took that oath. I was like, okay, well, you're setting this up for Elrond to fail here. Like, I thought story wise, that's what they were doing. That's not ultimately what happened, though. It turns out like the elves kind of already knew that something strange was afoot there in the Misty Mountains. They already knew something was going on because they could see the King Durin had okayed this. They saw the interaction. They saw the smoke coming up from the mountains, and like, oh, it
They
looks
were
like
they were hard at work doing something.
yeah, the dwarves are doing something over there. Won't you? And under the guise of sending Elrond to, asking them for some laborers and assistance, it was also trying to find out more about what's going on there. But Elrond keeps to his oath. He does not mention
I
Mithril.
love that he stood up to his king, said, "I will not
Yeah,
break my oath." That means more to me than anything, and
yeah,
what his relationship to Durin is. And that was I love the interaction between Durin and the king. They're at the table, and the king, I don't remember the king's actual name, but he's pressing Durin, and Durin flips the table on him. It
yeah.
just pulls a
I think it's
BS line from the table.
it's Gilgalad, I think, is the Elven King there. But yeah, it's some shady stuff, and I don't blame Elrond for being upset with his own people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, quit, just be upfront and honest with me. This is really happening. Like, this is important stuff, and you truly believe that. The Elven days are numbered, and the dwarves might have something that could help out with that. Like, that's important enough to pass that message along. Like,
Yeah, because he didn't. I think he truly didn't know when
oh
he
no,
went there. He truly didn't know what he was doing. Because even when he said it, he was there under ambition, but he didn't really understand what that ambition was.
right?
So the dialogue between these two is so good. The acting is great. The dialogue is great. The friendship is sincere.
Yeah.
I believe that wholeheartedly. So when they go back and forth, even when he's like, "Whose hands in it?" Yours. And he's even when he tells him to say that a second time, even Elrond, he grins for a second. He
Yeah.
knows Durin's soaking this in,
Yeah.
and he knows Durin's not going to say no.
Yeah, he knows that Durin's sold, and it's so they're on their way back to Khazad-dûm to talk to the previous Durin, the current King Durin, to see if they can ask for help. And knowing a little bit about what's moving forward, I know that Celebrimbor, who's kind of the elven artisan that was basically hired Elrond, right?
Yeah.
He eventually becomes kind of a friend of the dwarven folk there. He's the one that helps create that door with the
Oh,
mithril
okay. Speak
writing,
friend.
"Speak, friend, and enter."
Yeah.
So that's something that we have. So there is a partnership that's coming, and it's interesting to see how that forms. It's cool.
I want to see Disa and her reaction to her new table.
Yeah, no, that's important. We're on table watch here.
That's
Yeah.
fun. Now, what I'm really concerned's the wrong way to put it. I want to see how they do it because the way that they're setting it up in the show is the elves need all of this mithril to go ahead and be able to, uh, save themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
I know within the lore, the dwarves and elves trade this back and forth, kind of like a currency.
Hmm.
So how they're going to go ahead and do how they're going to proceed with that? Because I've already heard that there was a little bit of I don't say malcontent about how they explain, the tree and the mithril starting. I
Oh, the
love
actual legend.
seeing the Balrog.
Balrog. Yeah, and it was that Peter Jackson design too. It was
That
cool.
was cool, and I think we're going to see another one. I think we're really going to see him because, I mean, lore has it that the dwarves dig so deep for this mithril,
Right.
they wake one up,
Yes.
and they have to actually. And this is one of the reasons why we don't see them in the Lord of the Rings, and it's become a tomb. Is they have to abandon Khazad-dûm because they can't stand and fight against his Balrog.
Yeah, and Gandalf calls that Balrog Durin's Bane, which is, it's the Balrog that they awakened there in the bottom of Khazad-dûm. It's yeah, I love this stuff because it's got that direct lineage and linkage to the Fellowship of the Ring too, which is fun to see. So yeah, that storyline, that's kicking on all cylinders. I'm a fan of it. The stuff that I'm not excited about probably is some of the Halbrand Galadriel stuff. I mean, we did get moving, but basically it was just we spent a whole episode just leaving the shores of Numenor. After I thought they kind of put the gas pedal down last episode, and they're like, "Okay, here we go, we're leaving," and then
Yeah.
they didn't leave until the end of this episode.
Yeah, right. Uh, that whole storyline, I can give or take. I mean, we
Yeah,
need that to speed up. I mean, and one thing I didn't see coming was the timeline's not matching up. Like I didn't see because it was they were at the tower and Helbron. Because I'm understanding right, Helbron was actually one of the men that left the tower and went to Adar and did something. Unless I'm missing something here, unless I and then he wound up
oh,
being
yeah,
sent aside.
there's some kind of connection there that Halbrand kind of fesses up to as to why he's being hesitant on taking up the mantle of the king because, well, they don't know what I've done. I think maybe I took it as though he did something in the past. Um, and maybe it was related to Adar, and maybe there was a separate faction of men that he was with. But basically, it's his job as king to unite these different factions of men. There's going to be like pockets of villages and civilizations of men across that portion of Middle Earth, and I think it's in his destiny to kind of unite those pockets and those different sects.
Yeah.
So that's what I took it as, that he wasn't directly linked with the humans that we're following currently, as Adar is kind of gearing up to attack them at that tower. But that's how I took it, is that he
No,
had a
yeah.
previous incident.
Now, see, I took it as he was actually there
Hmm.
and he was cast aside or something. That's why we found him on the water. And these
Yeah.
two timelines weren't running, together, kind of like a Witcher type setup. And now
Right.
they're starting to actually merge back together. And we're going to see him like come back together with this group. And they're going to see him, be like, yo, you turned your back on us. Why do you think we should forgive you to try to help us and join with you?
Yeah, and I don't discount that. I mean, that's the kind of the crazy thing with these fantasy series, especially with people that age really slowly, whether you're a Witcher, or you're an elf here in Lord of the Rings. Like, yeah, you can kind of get a little bit timey-wimey with some of that stuff. So if they did do something like that, it would I think it would be interesting. I didn't take it that way, but now that you bring it up, I could see, because there is the potential there because of these characters and how slowly they age. So yeah, for sure, I can definitely see that. So the Gladriel stuff, there was that scene where she fights like, five guys at once, and it was kind of like, it was okay. And Halbrand, crafted a sword for himself, and he's actually taking up the mantle where he's dressed up as a king. I guess he's finally embracing that role a little bit before they head over there. So the plot line is moving. It's not like nothing happened. It just it was kind of a delay.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see the fall of Numenor, and I think it's coming sooner.
Oh
A lot of people are like, we're going to see it later in the seasons of the show.
yeah.
I think we need to move that storyline forward and see the fall of Numenor before the end of this season. When the ships leave and everything, and they're out there, I would like to see what happens to Numenor, because it seems like they're ambitious and they're not at the same time. They want
I
to grow
know.
their empire.
I kind of wish that we had a season count before we knew into this. Like, okay, there's going to be 4 total seasons, so that way we can kind of keep track of like when they should or should be doing things. Because right now it does feel kind of a little herky jerky, where it's like fast forward on some things and then press pause on other things, and it's like I think that's one of the main reasons why people are having a tough time getting into the show. Besides, the stuff around Galadriel, or, any of that woke stuff that people are complaining about, some people anyway. It's just like the plot, like they may not be a fan of like the actual plotting and pacing of it. Which that's,
I think
tough to do.
it fits what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord of the Rings was never a high paced anything. It's more of the Lord of the Rings was a story of the hobbits, and hobbits all they want to do is eat and smoke weed. I mean,
Right.
that's pretty much what the hobbits were, and then we're getting another form of the hobbits and the Harfoots, and I actually enjoyed their storyline this time around.
Oh, I
I
did
mean, I
too.
didn't miss
Yeah.
them at all last episode. This one here I enjoyed.
They gave us a little bit of them, like a little bit of cultural stuff where the one started singing the song and they went to the map to see where they were
Yeah,
traveling and
that was
stuff.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that felt very Lord of the Rings to me. Like I was like, oh, okay, that feels every now and then when you get back to the Harfoots and the stuff that's going on with them, it feels more Lord of the Rings just because that's what and I've said this before, that's what separates and divides Lord of the Rings from other fantasy stuff because you've got elves and men and dwarves and stuff and other fantasy stuff. But here, like hobbits are solely unique, the little people, the little folk that are gonna, they're courageous, and anyway, that's what sets it apart. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
The Hobbit was. That it all comes from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
That's what this whole thing comes from. Yeah,
Let's talk the stranger. Who
okay,
are
yes.
you any closer to know who the stranger is? Because we seen him pull smack the
Ooh,
ground, knock these wolves back. He's a wizard. He's a wizard of some sort.
yeah, yeah.
Who is he? Are they gonna go the easy route and be a young Gandalf? He shouldn't be here yet, but whatever. Or will he be a Radagast or a blue wizard?
I'm if he's gonna be a wizard at all, I'm hoping for a blue wizard, just because I think there's the most potential there. He certainly looks like Radagast with how like unkempt he is.
Well, yeah. I mean, he
um,
just fell out of the sky.
Yeah, and, I don't want them to do Gandalf at all. I think that's just like you said, that's kinda just too easy.
Is that low
That's
hanging fruit?
Yeah, I think that is low hanging fruit. As far as, like, but I'm not even still convinced that he's solely a wizard at this point. We've seen him do some magic that he is hard to contain and is like this is, kind of a human body that he's in, so it's susceptible to injury and stuff.
Yeah.
But you also like see him speaking elven words and healing himself with that whole like ice scene. He put his
Yeah.
arm in water, which scared Dory, or Nori,
Nori,
Bradenfoot,
yeah.
scared her away. But he was there. He did protect them. If those wolves were coming for the folk, and he did protect them because he
Yeah, he
kills.
gained some. They were getting pretty cutthroat. Like, take their wheels, leave them to
Yeah,
dead.
they
And then
were.
he saves them. Like, oh, food and wine for everybody.
And once again, not much happened as far as like information nuggets on making
Well,
decisions
I
on who these
did
people
watch
were, but
something, and now something I didn't pick up on.
mhm.
That group, there was like, I don't know if they were cloaked, white. They had like the specters and everything.
Yes,
On the
yeah.
back of one of their shields, I think it was the constellation that we see the stranger looking at or forming with the fireflies.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, that's interesting.
So they're looking for him. So it's almost like he was foreseen to come, which
Yeah.
almost leads to, will he be Sauron?
Well, there was that cut, right, where they were with him and then the Harfoot scenes kind of ended, but there was that transition where they went back to where he landed. And they actually showed you when he was in there in the fetal position, flames all around him, and they cut that to the where he wasn't there anymore, and it was just like the imprint of what that impact had left, and that's where they were. That's what those white cloaked people were looking at. So this seems to be they're like either investigating it or they heard about it. And the old man with the men, he had mentioned that the fire streak in the sky was like a harbinger, like that Sauron's time was coming again.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they keep
so
on like referring to like heat. Like back episode 1, they were in the evil area where the fire wasn't hot.
right,
And then you had this stranger who was in this crater with the fire that wasn't hurting him or Dory or Nori.
yeah.
So once again, it's another one of those fire things. He got burnt when he was at the camp with the actual paper, and he was holding it, and it didn't bother him. So once again, fire that's not hot.
Right.
So is he gonna be the Night King? Is he, not Night King, I blew that. But
He might be
wrong.
the origin story for the Game of Thrones character, the
Yeah,
Night
yeah. Whoops. Uh, you
That
know
would
what I
be a real
mean.
shocker.
But yeah,
Witch King
yes, thank you.
or, yeah, some of the
So
Nazgul. I don't know, like, that's what's cool about it. It's mysterious, the stranger and who he is and what he I think once this show finally reveals who that is, the show's almost gonna lose something, honestly, 'cause, that mystery is one of the things that keeps me bringing back, like, "Okay, who is this guy?" And they keep dropping little hints here and there and a little character, evolutions and stuff. So once we've that's finally revealed, it's almost going to take away from the show, unfortunately, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a separation between him and the Harfoots.
Yeah.
I think something's going to happen, and he's going to wind up leaving. If it's going to be the other group catching up to him, or whatever it is, I think he's going to wind up leaving before the end of the season. Because I think even with him scaring Nori, this episode is going to be a part of that as well. But I think they're going to need him to finish the migration
Yeah.
before her dad's foot is actually healed.
One more cool thing in this episode that I liked is Adar and that conversation that he has with one of the orcs, where he's like enjoying the warmth of the sun, and he has that orc, pull his the cloak
Yeah.
away from his arm and burn his arm. And I think what he's mentioning, I think this is leading up to Mount Doom erupting and causing the smoke and basically that whole entire area around Mount Doom to have the
Block out the
constant,
sky.
yeah, they have the constant cloudy skies, so that way the orcs can thrive there. And that's what I think we're leading to, which is pretty cool.
And the tunnel's complete.
Yeah.
The tunnel is complete. So yeah, no, I'm ready to see Mordor start taking form. I want to see Mordor be what it is. So
I'm
I'm
curious
in.
to
I love
see.
this. This show is so fun. I enjoyed this show so
I
much.
love it too. Who do you think Adar is in relation to Sauron? Is he a follower of Sauron? Is he somebody that's trying to take the place or be like the new
See, that's another
Sauron?
thing. Is he Sauron? Because
Right.
Sauron's name is never actually said amongst anybody. And from what I understand, he doesn't want it said. So the fact that Adar actually attacked this man for saying what predominantly could be his name would
Right.
not be out of character.
Yeah. Yeah, that old man was like, "Whoever you are, I'll bow to you, whatever."
Yeah, then he has to kill that kid, which we never seen him kill. But I mean, it's
I think it's implied, yeah.
yeah, it's implied. They just weren't going to show that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, cool episode. Like I'm in agreement with you. Like every Thursday night into Friday, I'm like, "Oh yeah, new Rings of Power. Let's check it out." I can't
Let's
wait.
talk about that for a second, because that's been bugging me
What's that?
really badly. Why can HBO Max set a time for the release of House of Dragon? 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's 9 and 6.
Right.
Why can't Amazon and Disney Plus do the same? Because not only are they releasing it at 3 a.m. and midnight, but then it's impossible it's not impossible, but it's very hard to remove yourself from everything before you have a chance to watch it, because I'm not staying up to 3 a.m. to watch anything.
Right. I think that is a weird thing, and that comes from streaming and just from like, well, it premieres on Fridays, and they just assume that people that stream aren't necessarily into watching appointment television, and they prefer on demand. But there's a lot of people out there, especially with shows that are this big, where if I knew that the new Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Ring, like these big shows, if I knew that the new episode was premiering at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., I'm gonna be there at 8 p.m. watching it.
Yeah.
Like because a lot of people have their free time in the evenings, right? They're home from work, they just had dinner, they're ready to relax for the night, just watch an episode of TV before they hit the bed. And like it shouldn't be anything for Disney Plus and Amazon Prime to like just stick it on at 8 p.m. Eastern Central or Eastern Standard Time and just like do it that way. But I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah, Amazon said they advertise Friday,
Yeah.
but no, they release at 9 o'clock Thursday Pacific time,
Yeah.
midnight Eastern time. Look at House of Dragon. The big thing for House of Dragon, the first episode was they had cameras pointing at buildings, and they seen all the windows changing in
Right.
sequence because everyone was watching the show at the same time.
Yeah. And the
It just
difference maker being that HBO is an actual channel and it has been for the majority of its life, where it's a TV station that you tune into, as opposed to Disney Plus or Amazon. So I hope it goes that direction, but I don't know with the way TV is these days, and that's a larger conversation with
yeah.
streaming in general. But
I just
it
had to
is an
get that off
interesting
my
point.
chest there, because it's been bugging me. It's like, I watch so much YouTube stuff,
Yeah,
through my day while I'm working, just streaming, so it's background noise, and I got to be careful when I watch on certain days, because I don't even non-spoiler things, when they try not to be spoilery, they spoil things on accident.
right.
So I don't want to know nothing, but that's just me talking.
That's just a couple old dads complaining.
Okay, guys. Well, what do you guys think of the Rings of Power? I mean, we're loving it. We even love the Hardfoots. I mean, a lot of people don't even like them, but we love the Hardfoots. We
Yeah.
love everything about it. Let us know, when are we going to see the rings forged? When are we going to see the towers? Are we going to see a Bullrock this season? Let us know what you think. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to follow us when we do this, on Sundays. And I think it's time for us to go ahead and move into our last show of the day. Off to war she goes.
Yeah, wearing that green just like they do out of out of there where she's from, her house, Hightower. And yeah, this was big episode. Going into it, you had warned me that you were hearing inklings that it was similar to like Red Wedding type vibes.
Yeah, maybe I set
Didn't
myself
read
up.
that for you? Yeah.
No, maybe I just set myself up for disappointment on this one here.
Yeah.
This one was a phone pick-upper. I picked up my phone
Oh,
during this episode.
really? No
Yep.
kidding. Oh, I liked
Uh,
it a lot more than you did then.
yeah, no, this one didn't do it for me. I mean, there was absolutely some highlights on this episode.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. When Rhaenyra's walking down the beach with the guy that she was married to, and they were
Yeah.
talking about their different taste in dinners, I thought that
Right.
was that was pretty cleverly done. I enjoyed that conversation. How they were just
Yeah.
it was basically they had to do it to please their families, but they can have their own arrangements.
I know, I was rooting for that. It was Sir Laenor Valerion, the son of yeah, the aunt and uncle that we've already kind of come accustomed to for a few scenes throughout the season. Their two kids, Lady Lena and Sir Laenor, they've grown up a little bit since the last time we saw them. And yeah, I was kind of rooting for that. Like, hey, if you got to do this, then at least make an arrangement between the two of you that's going to keep you both happy, and maybe you two could kind of be partners in this whole thing, and you can actually, even though it's non-conventional, you can still have a pretty healthy marriage and partnership between the two of you.
You know who I'm tired of?
Kristen Cole?
Viserys. I
Oh,
am
the
I'm
king.
just I am so over this nutless king.
Yeah.
He has no balls. He lets his brother walk all over him. He let
Right.
Otto walk all over him. He's let Rhaenyra walk all over him. I mean, now the sea serpent. I mean, he walked into his throne room while he was sitting on the throne and took his time getting up and took the time bending the knee. I mean,
Yeah,
and
that
will
whole
he
stuff.
die? Will this dude die?
I apparently not. I guess because I've seen some stuff, and he's going to be in next week's episode. We're finally getting the time jump, so we're no longer going to have young Rhaenyra and young Alicent. It's going to be the different actors next episode.
Are you
Um,
concerned about that at all? Because
um,
was it Millie Acock, the one that plays young Rhaenyra? She has hit. I mean, I was a little wishy washy on the first episode. I've grown to love her throughout the show.
yeah. I'm holding judgment until I see the portrayals from the new actresses, but yeah, that is something to be said. I mean, she's on the main poster, right? Like it's kind of strange for her halfway through to for us to recast that character. But this is a strange show as far as like the timeline of it and the plot progression. Like this is a very unique show in that like there's just like these time skips where stuff evolves off screen.
Yeah, and I like that about it. I like how that's not a linear,
Yeah,
day one, day two, day three. It's a week type show. I
right.
like how we've already skipped what 3 years once.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. It's gonna have to be another. It's gonna have to be at least a 10-year jump in the next episode because Alicent's kids, her youngest son, is I think close to a teenager.
Yeah, he looks it from the stuff that I've seen, yeah. Um, and,
But
that's
how are
great.
they going to explain everything that's going to take place in those 10 years? Because you've seen in this shot here, when she walks out in that green dress while Viserys is having his speech,
Right.
she's basically bringing House Hightower to war in that instance.
It is a clear statement. There was a big divide. I mean, we've seen the divide grow between these 2 characters throughout. They started out as BFFs in that first episode, and slowly but surely that split has been growing deeper and deeper until finally we get to this episode, and Otto Hightower even tells Allison, like, you're friends with this girl, but she will kill your kids to
Yeah,
get
the
to
only
that
way she's
throne.
gonna go to the throne is if
Yeah,
she kills you and your kids.
yeah.
That's essentially all it's what's gonna have to take.
And he's being real with her, like, she's all upset because he's forced to leave the kingdom. But he's like, yeah, he really sets it, and I think that's what she has buzzing in her head the rest of the episode, and especially after the conversation she has with Sir Kristen Cole, she finds out the truth about how all that went down. Which I was wondering if she'd be relieved that Rhaenyra actually did not, you know, wasn't having relations with
With Damon.
Damon. But I mean, the same at the same time, like it is a big deal that like the princess and heir to the throne has already been deflowered or whatever by somebody that's not royalty. So even that is just like not good in her eyes, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I think she hates the fact that she was able to pick her first, person she was gonna be with. When Allison didn't have a choice, she was basically shepherded to Viserys' door by her dad.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot of
I think there's
jealousy
a
there.
little bit of that
Yeah,
that played into that. But yeah, I don't know. This episode, I like the fact that it was all in one room,
yeah.
essentially. Uh, but the payoff, I didn't feel like there was a payoff. I was waiting for something, Kristen Cole beating the hell out of,
That was kind of
that one
gruesome.
dude.
Yeah,
I mean, he went full hamburger on him.
yeah.
I
Turned
was
his
sitting
face
there
into
watching
hamburger
it,
meat.
and I was watching it with my wife, and I'm like, "Oh man, they're gonna do." I did this. I was like, "Oh no!" I thought they were gonna do the mountain eye pop thing.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought they were using to grab him by the eyes and just crush his head. I was like,
Uh,
"Oh, I don't want to see that again." So I kind of
yeah.
looked away, then looked back, and I seen it was all kind of rubbery. I'm like, "Okay, he just hamburgered his head." That's a little bit better, I guess.
It was still pretty probably the most gore that we've had on this show so far, which has been a little bit less than what we used to get on the old Game of Thrones. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought Kristen Cole, I think some of his moves were questionable here. Like I get it, like you like Rhaenyra, but you can't just run away. Like
Yeah,
inviting her to
right.
run away
Pronounce
with
your
you, like
love, and we're gonna run away with the princess. Come on, let's
get
be real.
get real,
Uh,
dude. Yeah. And yeah, it's just what did you think of Damon just walking up for the wedding and being an attendee at the wedding after all that had been said and done previously?
I love how badass he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. It's like I belong at the table. I'm just gonna stroll in. But then again, like I said, it comes to my core issue with Viserys.
Sarah's, yeah.
A king has got to show a swift hand.
He should have had him thrown out right there. I don't care what, gasps there would have been from the general crowd there. Like he should have had the guard toss him out right then and there.
Yeah,
Make a stand. Yeah. But he didn't because he's Viserys.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just there's no. I understand. I mean, he even asked when he's laying, in that chair and he's asking his new hand, "What are people going to say about me when I die?"
Yeah.
I mean, he's coughing like that.
Are you
But
you don't have the grayscale, do you? Are you
I
are
was
you
going to
using your
ask
mortal
you,
coil?
do you think that's grayscale on his arm?
I don't know. It looks similar. I think it's something different though. I think he's probably just got some
Because what grayscale spread quicker, and it doesn't. Grayscale doesn't
right.
technically kill you. You become
Grayscale,
like,
you become like like mummified almost, like just stony. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. He's a lot too long for it to be grayscale. You're right. I think it's like some form of leprosy or something. I think that's what the actors come out and said.
but yeah,
Um.
it's. I mean, he's in bad shape, but he's living way too long to be in that time and be that ill.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the one thing that's kind of pulling me out of it. But I guess they have to keep him alive for a certain period of time, so the kids come of age, and then we can actually have this conflict that is brewing. I'm ready for the conflict. I love the political and matchup, things going back and forth between everything.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for this conflict to take place. And where are the lines going to be drawn? Who's going to be with who?
I think that we've been slowly introduced to some real power players going forward too with there's Lord Lionel Strong becomes the new hand of the king. The Strong family basically. There's
Yeah.
Lionel Strong and he has two boys that we're aware of. The one that has like the club foot that's kind of like the new almost like the new Littlefinger or something. He has that scene in the courtyard with Allison. where
Hmm.
he's talking about, and he was making some moves there very subtly, but he knows exactly this because he has born with that club foot. He gets to sit aside and really just kind of listen to people and like spread information or disinformation.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful. We learned from Littlefinger that was a powerful thing in King's Landing. And his brother, who is like got pretty high up on the King's Guard, he's known as like something strong, but he's basically one of the strongest actual like fighters and people there. He's the guy that's always like when he walks by, when Damon walks by, he always like kind of walks by him and gives him a pat on the shoulder and like yes, my lord. He's very close to Damon, so that's interesting too. I think the Strong family has a role to play going forward.
See, what I'm thinking, I want to see where the battle lines are drawn because only two families have dragons, and we know all the dragons basically die in this show. So
Yeah.
you have the Valerians and you have the Targaryens. So where? Because I always thought that it was going to be Rhaenyra and Daemon fighting alongside with the Valerians, but there's no dragons essentially on the other side anymore.
Yeah.
So it's good. They're going to have to fight on the side of the Targaryens essentially, so you can have that epic battle. But where does that leave Allison and her kids?
And Otto Hightower, like, is he
And
gonna come
yeah,
back in the picture? And
no, we have to see Otto again. He's not.
yeah,
He's not done. We're absolutely going to see him again.
we're gonna have multiple factions to keep our eye on as far as where
Like, will he come in and actually get his daughter and grandkids out before they're killed, and then be like, say, for instance, being Winterfell, and
Yeah.
like the true king is here, but we have her, Rhaenyra, claiming the throne.
It's gonna be fun to watch for sure because there's gonna be, and I think the catalyst in all this, like the shot that's gonna start everything, is Viserys finally kicking the bucket, and that's when things really gonna like you're gonna start seeing the vultures come in and making the power plays to see
Oh
who's
yeah,
gonna.
once he dies, that's when it's all going to speed up. Honestly,
Yeah, and
we
that's a
just need
ticking
him.
clock.
We need someone just to say Daenerys or whatever. We just need to
Right.
burn him. Just get rid of him. I'm so done with it. People love him. I am so over his character.
I love the actor and I love the portrayal. I think that's exactly what that character is. I mean, in the books too, he's just like he's looked historically as a guy that's just like, and he even I think it was last episode where he even has that conversation like, how am I going to be remembered? Or it might have been this episode where he was asking his new hand of the king, who's going to remember me and how are they going to remember me? They're going to remember me as just like this weak king, and I think he has fear of that and he knows, and his hand wasn't even really able to display that. It's like, well, I mean, you know,
No,
you'll be a
Christopher is
just
asking
king.
if we've seen Aegon wearing the green under his armor in the trailer. I
Oh,
didn't
no.
catch that.
No, I didn't see that either.
That's that's telling now that we know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something. So guys, what did you guys think? I mean, this episode didn't truly do it for me, but as a whole, I'm enjoying it. Shaun enjoyed it a little bit more than I did this episode. I picked up
Yep.
my phone, which is my
That's your
my
barometer.
am I
Yeah.
enjoying it or not?
Yep.
But drop a comment below. Let us know what you think. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I say it every time when we're getting ready to transition. We love your interaction. We're here at 10 o'clock, Eastern Standard Time every Sunday morning to talk about these shows. And I think that's about what we've got for today.
We say, yeah, we'll be back next week. Hopefully you and I are both well and not sick.
Yeah, we're both a little
Have,
under the weather.
have head colds. But yeah, we'll be back to discuss episode 10 of Welcome to Wrexham, episode 6 of both Rings of Power and House of the Dragon, and of course the next episode of Andor to see where that story goes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll be back.
There we go. So till next time, we'll see you after the show.
See ya.